Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. This is Gayani with Invent Your Mind, and today I have another interview with my interview series to get to know entrepreneurs, business owners, and other attorneys. This is a series I'm doing as we are actually end of March 2020 going into April, and while I'm in California in the shutdown, so this is a way to kind of use my time wisely. And I reached out to some of the business owners and entrepreneurs I know to kind of get these onto my channel. And today we have Yali Ruiz joining us. She have an amazing background. She is an epidemiologist. She have done a lot of different things, and now she is an owner. For last few years, she's been an owner of a wine lounge in Southern California called Splash Wine Lounge. And Yali, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And I wanted to have you on my channel because I'm very curious about your path, how you went from being an epidemiologist and, working with big corporations and then coming to this and launching a wine lounge, business. So before we start really jump into the business part, I would like to know a little bit about your background. And what exactly is it to be an epidemiologist? What is that? So for like viewers who may not know what that means, we will just kind of go general.
Yeah, of course. So epidemiology is not about skin. I get that a lot. Sometimes I think it has to do with skin. Epidemiology is basically the study of health in populations. So epidemics, like we are experiencing now, that's epidemiology. But at the core of it, really, it's about asking the right questions and getting the right answers. So it's kind of a combination of public health and biostatistics. And the training is really about solving puzzles, trying to figure out what factors are associated with good health outcomes and what factors are associated with bad health outcomes. And how can we improve health? How can we mitigate the impact of epidemics like the COVID-19 that we're seeing now? So all of those studies that you're seeing now with, the different age groups that are more or less impacted with the virus, or even studies that say people who eat more broccoli live longer. All of that is epidemiology. It's just about asking about associations. So I did a PhD in epidemiology at UC Davis. And it was a great, interesting field to be in because UC Davis has a very famous veterinary school. So we had a very mixed group of people who were all learning the same training, but some of us were working in healthcare, like me. I was working in the field of healthcare administration, healthcare policy, looking at how we deliver healthcare and what does that do to outcomes, whether it has to do with cost or access or quality or actual patient outcomes. I had classmates who were working on sea otter health. I had others who were working on cow health.
Oh, wow.
So it was really fun because we were all sort of studying the same methods and applying it to lots of different settings. So that's epidemiology.
Well, thank you for explaining that. And would you mind talking about a little bit about your work experience before you went on this entrepreneur route? Because I know you had worked with Planned Parenthood and all these big, amazing organizations. So I kind of wanted to get to know that aspect a little bit too.
Yeah. So not intentionally, I ended up having kind of a bird's eye view of healthcare. So I worked in direct healthcare services for a while. I worked in community clinics. I worked as a healthcare administrator, running programs, implementing programs, dealing with compliance and making sure that things ran smoothly. I also worked, after that, I transitioned to work more in health policy.
Okay.
So actually working at the state capitol, with the state capitol and the governor's office, implementing healthcare policy and influencing healthcare policy. And then I also have the research training. So like I said, my epidemiology training was really about health services research. So looking at the way that we deliver healthcare, what does that do in the long run to outcomes? So a lot of the work around the affordable healthcare comes from that body of work. So I sort of had a very diverse view of healthcare through all of my different jobs. And my most recent job was at Planned Parenthood as Vice President for Public Policy for California. And in 2010, just as the Affordable Care Act was being implemented, I left and started my consulting company. So I started consulting with nonprofit agencies, government, academia, healthcare providers, trying to help improve healthcare delivery through a combination of all those things. So that was sort of my journey in healthcare, and that's how I became a business owner for the first time.
Oh, wow. And so are you still doing that, or are you now fully launched into the wine bar, ownership and focusing on that? Because I know that could be a lot. So
it is a lot. I am doing a little bit. It's hard in healthcare consulting. It's hard if you're not doing it full time. You have to be really immersed. I spent a lot of time when I was running my consulting firm reading federal healthcare regulation and state healthcare regulation and policy, and helping my clients understand what's coming around the pike. What is it that we expect to have happen in the next year or so, and what should we be doing in response? What should we be doing in anticipation? So that's more than a full-time job. And I don't feel like I can do a good job of it if I'm doing something else. That being said, a huge part of my job was facilitating. It was facilitating how people think together, facilitating how they make decisions together, facilitating how they prioritize. So I still do that, because that requires less content knowledge. It's a more general kind of function that I can provide. So I still do that kind of work for clients.
So that, I think, kind of lead us into why you launched the wine bar, the Splash Wine Lounge. So please tell us the inspiration why you decided, because there's so many different type of businesses, right? What attracted you to launching a wine lounge, and what's the process?
Mm-hmm. So I actually purchased the wine lounge. I didn't launch it, so that's one thing. But I came to a point after almost 30 years in healthcare where I just was tired. I just didn't want to be doing that level of work in healthcare anymore. Mm-hmm. I love the facilitation part. I love some of the other pieces of it, but the actual being in healthcare policy all the time, I kind of hit a wall. I decided I wanted to do something different for the last 10 years or so of my career. So I started thinking about what other businesses I could start, so I was still sort of on that same track of my consulting, where I thought, well, what else could I start from the ground up? And it was actually a conversation with a friend of mine where she said, well, have you considered just purchasing a business instead of starting one? And I thought, that's a good idea. So that's when I really started to look around, and the Splash Wine Lounge is in my neighborhood. I can walk to it from my house. I was a customer there. And when that came open, I had been looking at a variety of different things, but when that came on the market, it really seemed to be the right combination of things that I needed.
Okay. You leading your pros a
It
little
is a
bit.
very isolating kind of job. You're by yourself.
Yali, if you don't mind repeating that last part, because your video froze for a little bit. I'm not sure why it did. The
Okay.
last part, the right part of combination you were talking about it, the wine,
Okay.
why you chose to buy this wine bar lounge, that it's being a right combination,
Okay.
and then you froze a little bit.
Okay. But you got the part about it's in the neighborhood and all that.
Yes, yes.
So Splash had the right combination of things that I was looking for. I wanted to be in the community. I wanted to be out of the house. Consulting is very isolating. You're by yourself behind a computer all the time. And I wanted a platform to create community. So to me, it's not just a wine bar, it's a platform to really bring together community and to support the causes that I believe in. And that's exactly what has happened. Now, I don't think I could have timed it worse because I bought the wine bar in December. We had spent 6 weeks remodeling, closed on March 17th, and I have no idea when we'll be able to reopen. So that's obviously terrible timing, but the good news and what makes me hopeful is that we actually saw a lot happen in the first couple of months that we were open, that I took over ownership. We saw volume increase. We saw a lot of engagement from the community. We had some really successful events, and I'm really confident that that will continue when we can open back up.
That's true. I mean, this is a really difficult time for business owners, and especially business owners who are catering to customers who are visiting their bars and restaurants. And so hopefully, I'm hoping that we could get this under control and we get some kind of a normalcy soon.
Mm-hmm.
And, meanwhile, kind of pivoting to do some little bit different things to set it up, right?
Right.
And I did ask in our email exchange to kind of talk about this interview, to 5 things or tips that you learn that you want to share with someone who want to go into this area or have a small business, buy a business or something. So I figure if you could kind of give us those 5 and kind of explain what those are, why you chose them.
Sure. It's hard to narrow it down to 5. There are so many things that go into being a business owner. I would say that the first one is really flexibility. I think that the difference between working for somebody and working for yourself or managing your business yourself is really needing to be flexible around decision making and prioritizing, because there's no guidance. There's no one saying to you, this is what I want you to do. This is where I want us to go. It's you saying that. And so it really is about kind of being able to change track when you need to, decide when to change track if that's necessary, and deciding how much something is really worth your attention. Another piece that I've learned through kind of painful experience is to ask for help, because a lot of us who are entrepreneurs are people who get things done, right?
Yeah.
We're people who are very motivated, and we do a lot, and we don't have to do it all by ourselves. I've learned that a lot, not just in the business, but in life, that it's important to be able to not only ask for help, but accept help.
Yes. I do think that's really important, because I, as a professional, I always have issues kind of asking for help, that ask. And then also when somebody offer to help, saying thank you and be open to it, instead of feeling like you have to do something, or you feeling guilty or something. So I think, and it's the key. And I think especially business owners, I think you have to you know, as somebody who have my own business, to delegate some of the things that you could delegate, like that's really play a key role in keeping your sanity.
Absolutely, absolutely, for sure. Um, the third thing I would say, and this might just be specific to me, but I don't think it is that while being a business owner requires you to really focus on the money, right? I mean, we have to keep
Yeah,
ourselves in business.
exactly.
So we have to focus on the money. But at the same time, it isn't really about the money. If the business you're in and if the things you're doing are motivating and are providing some benefit to people, that's really the bottom line. The
Mm-hmm.
money should happen. And if it's not, then there's something wrong, right? So I think that there are some businesses that are very money driven and they're very successful because all they do is make money. You know, find some sort of need and
Mm-hmm.
need it quickly or need it, you know, for the moment, and that needs goes away and then you move on to something else.
Yeah,
That's one way of making money for sure.
yeah.
But for me, a long-term strategy is really about focusing on the need and on the clients and the customers and
Mm-hmm.
providing value and providing something that's really tangible and really important. And then the money is a piece of that. And then the business thinking doesn't just become, how do I get more money? The business thinking becomes, how do I tie my value to money coming in? And that's a very different kind of equation.
I love that. I love like tying your passion and what you provide to, you know, the business purpose, and then trusting, and, you know, that the money aspect, of course, is part of equation, but it's not the main part of the equation, is other part.
Right,
Is that, you know,
right,
because I do think having your own business, if you put your passion behind it, and that, you know, you're actually providing something in authentic value, people could feel it too, the service and your passion to it. So I think it come across, where versus if you are just about the dollar amount, that also come across. And, you know, and sometimes, you know, you go through that and sometimes it doesn't work. So it's also the type
right,
of customer you want to attract.
right,
So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Um, the, where are we on? 4?
number 4, yes. I know.
Obviously, I didn't write these down. And it's tied to that. I think it's tied to number 3, but it's about being really honest
Mhm.
and authentic with your customers, because sometimes I think we have a tendency to sort of try to pretend like everything's perfect and try to
Yeah,
really, you know, we obviously want to do a good job and we want to make sure that we're providing good service to
yeah,
our customers. And I think that being realistic about what's happening in the world and in our lives connects us to our customers in a
yeah,
really different way. You know, I've
yeah,
had customers who lost buildings and luckily not lives, but, you know, lost function in fires. And you can't just do business as usual and not really connect on a human level,
yeah,
whether it's paid or not, right? I'm not
yeah,
going to get paid to offer extra support and extra help to people during those times, but I'm going to do that because it's the
yeah,
right thing to do. And it
exactly.
kind of goes both ways, you know? So that's something that I feel like is maybe not necessarily taught in a business school.
Yeah,
That's important, and that's a long-term strategy, again, about relationships and how you build community in your business. And then the
exactly.
last one is the boring part, but it really is about details. I mean, really knowing all of the numbers that are associated with your business, all of the
Mhm.
data, all of the money. It's important to ask for help and to delegate some things, but at the end of the day, you're responsible, and you need to know exactly what's going on with all of that, because otherwise you're giving power to other people. I mean, you know, there's the possibility that things could go wrong and you wouldn't know. There's just a lot of opportunity for things to really go downhill. So as boring or as not fun as some of that part is, that's a big piece. And I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who love the work part.
Yeah.
They do their passion, they do, you know, they're working on something they really care about, and the creativity is exciting, and all of that is just really wonderful. But owning a business comes with the responsibility for the boring stuff and the payroll and the, you know, bookkeeping and all of that. And while some of that can be outsourced, at the end of the day, it's really important to have a handle on all of that. Otherwise, things go badly. So that's all I have.
Yeah, there was a little bit of freeze at the end, but that's okay. I think we are facing some technical issues because a lot of people are working from home, and our bandwidth for the internet is kind of being tapped at max because everybody's doing a lot of Zoom and video calls. So I think that's part of it. So I hope the viewers who are tuning in understand and be, you know, I'm just going to keep going as far as I wanted to know, because you, like you said, you had to close your business right after you opened it. And, you know, it's kind of really tough times, and there's an uncertainty involved too. So what are you doing to kind of stay, you know, grounded? And what are you doing at this time when you cannot really open the business yet? And what would you suggest for business owners who are in a similar type of situation?
Well, I think this is a conversation that a lot of people are having right now. In terms of what we're doing with the business, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about with adding value. So right now, the main priority isn't to go get as much money as we can. Mm-hmm. It is a priority, but it isn't the top priority. The priority is to keep the community together and to really keep people engaged with us. Mm-hmm. So that means doing some things differently. Everyone's using social media differently now. We're trying to add value, but in a different way. And we're trying to recreate some of the things we offer in a different way. You can get wine anywhere, right? Yeah. I could go to Costco and get wine. I could go even have Instacart deliver wine from the grocery store. That isn't the key. That isn't the thing that people are coming to Splash to find. Yeah. What they're coming to Splash to find is connection and community and conversation and peace and a little bit of just relaxation. So that's what we're trying to offer, right? I can offer wine, and I do offer, you know, we're offering delivery and we're offering pickup wine, but what we're really trying to do is create that sense of community. So we're going to be doing some happy hours, virtual happy hours with winemakers from all over the world, with experts who are knowledgeable about different things related to wine or even not wine, just allowing people to kind of still have that sense of community. Yeah. And another thing I'm working on is trying to work with local winemakers who are really the ones who are hurting right now, and offering a way to offer their product, because we're centrally located in San Diego. We're in North Park, and we're right in the middle of everything. Some of these wineries obviously are remote. People aren't going to the tasting rooms anymore. And so we're trying to work with them to offer a way to sell their product through Splash so that they're not losing out on quite as much business, and our customers are able to still taste locally. So that's still in progress, but we're kind of thinking like a local 6-pack where you have 6 different bottles from different local wineries that would give you a taste of the county and what's happening here. And it helps our partners who we really rely on. There's no wine bar without wineries. Yeah. At the end of say those are the people who really
Yeah.
matter here. They're the ones that we're really trying to showcase. So those are just a couple of things that we have in the works.
That sounds amazing. So I would love to put that information below. When you, I will absolutely put your wine bar, information below. But when you have the virtual setup, maybe I could like update the descriptions below so anybody who's watching this and could come back and check to see if those are up there, and also how to connect with Splash Wine Lounge and their social media that they're putting together that will update these events, virtual events even, and the ability to connect. So I think that's a really cool and a good way of pivoting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, everything will be on our Instagram. So
okay.
if we connect to our Instagram, that's updated every day, and we'll have all of the information.
That's great. I will put your Instagram information down there then.
Okay.
And then the wine bar, also the link to wine bar, so then everybody could see where this is.
Thank you.
So Yali asks, personally, what do you do to kind of do you meditate, or what do you do to kind of stay get out of your head and ground your energy?
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky, I guess, to say that I've been meditating for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And so that has made a difference, because there's been a lot that has happened in the last 20 years. And it's a daily practice, and I love that it's a practice, because it doesn't always go well. I laugh sometimes. I love Pema Chodron's teachings, the way that she provides the teachings, and she talks about being a really terrible meditator even after 30 or 40 years. And that's how I feel. Like I'm not always good at it, but that's kind of the point, is that keep coming back to it, coming back to the breath, just practicing over and over is the process that actually helps. It's not about being able to actually successfully sit for an hour on my meditation chair.
I think we may have lost your connection. Okay, I could hear you. Okay, you're back. Okay. So I think what you were saying is you use Pema Chodron. How do you say? I'm really bad with pronouncing sometimes.
It's okay. Her name's Pema Chodron.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I have listened to her one of her recordings on Insight Timer, which is something I use for meditation.
Yeah.
So I think it's from there, or maybe YouTube, because I also use YouTube sometimes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me today, and even with some of the technical difficulties and being patient with it. I appreciate it. And Yali, I look forward to hearing so many wonderful things coming out of Splash Wine Lounge, and I will definitely follow you on Instagram, and I will put the information below for anybody else who are interested to how to connect with Yali and the wine bar, Splash Wine Lounge. Thank you for joining, and have a great week. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.